COVID-19's impact on IAS 36. Objective of the standard. COVID-19 was a global pandemic that had a major impact on businesses and economies around the world. One such standard that was affected was IAS 36. The objective of IAS 36 is to ensure that assets are carried at no more than their recoverable amount. An asset is carried at more than the recoverable amount if its carrying amount exceeds the amount to be recovered through use or sale of the asset. If this is the case, the asset is described as impaired and the standard requires the entity to recognize an impairment loss. How an impairment loss is calculated. Impairment loss is calculated by taking the carrying amount and subtracting the recoverable amount. The recoverable amount is the greater of the fair value less cost to sell and value in use. COVID-19 has had a major influence on this. Markets have been volatile and the constant stop and starting for certain industries have had severe strains on business performance. The calculation of impairment is done at the end of every financial year. IAS 36 paragraph 12. External sources of information have to be considered. This paragraph means external factors like COVID-19 have to be taken into account because its effects have significant changes on the market and environment in which the business operates. For example, a logistics company was hampered by regulations placed on transporting goods. Only essential services were allowed to operate during lockdown. These companies had their trucks sitting dormant, incurring expenditure. During the period of hard lockdown, newer models were being designed and the old ones were becoming outdated and needed to be impaired. In terms of cash flow, it dried up because the business was not operational. Impairment loss. Impairment loss is calculated at the end of every year due to assets aging, damaging, or changes in market environment. COVID-19 had the following effect on impairment. During the pandemic, people were not spending as freely as they may have been prior to COVID-19. Some people were not earning a full salary, and because of this, there was an overall decrease in demand for goods and services. This affects the cash flow projections that would have been made at the beginning of the financial period. This has an impact on the value in use amount. Due to COVID-19, the carrying amount of the asset may exceed the market value by an even greater amount. Assets will have to be impaired more significantly because the market value of the assets, like buildings and machinery, have dropped due to fall in demand. Disclosure. When disclosing the IAS 36, we have to disclose the following for each asset. The amount of impairment loss to be recognized in profit or loss. We have to explain how this impairment loss arose. For example, the fall in market value led to a difference between the carrying and recoverable amount. We also have to disclose what assumptions you made when calculating the impairment. Disclosure also needs to consider if an impairment loss was reversed. Thank you.